Hey dudes, welcome back to my channel. Salamat 2020. For today's presentations on how to solve systems of nonlinear equations using substitutions. Tatalakayin natin dito ang systems of nonlinear equations with two equations in two variables. Yan ang x and y. We have also here the sketchings of the graph in one Cartesian plane to illustrate the solution sets for a systems of equations. Ibig sabihin nito to find the point of intersections of two given equations. So ito yung ang example ng ating systems of nonlinear equations since it contains at least one equations that is not linear. So ang system natin ngayon has two equations, a linear and a non-linear. Ito yung ating steps on how to solve systems of equations using substitution. So let's try to answer example number 1. Solve the following system and sketch the graphs in one Cartesian plane. So we have here our systems has two equations, a linear and a non-linear. So our first equation, yan ang x minus y plus 2 is equal to 0, represented by linear equations. Since this is a first degree equations, both the x and y is raised to 1, exponent of 1. Second equation is nonlinear equation, that is quadratic equations with the degree of 2. To solve this system, iset natin yung linear equation as equation 1 and quadratic equations as equation number 2. To start with, so hanapin natin yung pinakamadaling equations to simplify the calculation. Obviously, the linear equation is the best choice. So our first equation, that is a linear equation, x minus y plus 2 is equal to 0. You can solve for x or y. For this one, let's solve for y in terms of x. So, kung titingnan natin yung equation 2, that is quadratic equations, the variable y is the lowest degree, that is 1. So, mas madali to solve for y in terms of x. So, let's transpose y to our side, maging positive, then may 1 yung x plus 2, then x plus 2 is equal to y, or you may write into y is equal to x plus 2. Maaari na nating ma-substitute in equation number 2. After solving for y in terms of x from equation 1, that is x minus y plus 2 is equal to 0, yan ang ating value for y. Y is equal to x plus 2. Then, substitute this y is equal to x plus 2 sa ating second equations. That is y minus 1 is equal to x squared. So, our equation 2 is y minus 1 is equal to x squared. Then, the value of y is equal to x plus 2. Substitute natin sa ating equation 2. This time the value of y is equal to x plus 2 minus 1 is equal to x squared. Then copy x, then 2 minus 1 is 1 is equal to x squared. Then move everything to one side of the equation. I-transfer natin lahat ng mga terms to the one side of the equations while keeping the opposite side equal to 0. So, para magiging 0 yung left side natin. So, this time, 0 is equal to x squared minus x minus 1. And this is the second degree equation. So let's factor out the trinomial to find the values of x. We have the result from equation number 2, that is second degree equation. So ibig sabihin nito, we have two values of x and it is factorable by applying the completing the squares, and that is used to solve the quadratic equations para magiging a perfect square trinomial. To perform the completing the squares, so our constant term must be transposed on the other side. Yan, we have the x squared minus x is equal to 1. Then make extra space for the third term, and same way the other side, so that our left side para magiging perfect square trinomial. Okay, since our leading coefficient, a number before x squared is 1, and the coefficient of our middle term is negative 1. The rule for the completing the square, so take half or divide by 2 and square it. Okay, yan ang middle term natin, negative 1, then divide by 2, then square. Then simplify, negative 1 squared and 2 squared. So negative 1 times negative 1, that is 1, then 2 times 2 is 4. 1/4. And add to both sides of the equations the result after squaring. So that is 1/4. Lagay natin sa third term and another 1/4 on the other side. Then factor the left side as the square of binomial by using the square of half. So since the perfect square trinomial na yung third term natin, so using the square of half, yan, negative 1 half over 2 raised to 2. So that is the square of binomial. Then 1 plus 1/4. So simplify, 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. Then 5 over 4. Then take the square root of both sides of the equation. So yan, square root of x minus 1 half raised to 2 is equal to square root of 5 over 4. Then cancel out the square root and this raised to 2. So the result is x minus 1 half, then is equal to plus minus square root of 5 is square root of 5. Then square root of 4. So that is 2. So we are using the positive and negative for after simplifying the radical sign. So negative 1 half transpose to other side, magiging positive 1 half, then copy plus negative, then square root of 5 over 2. Since we have the positive and negative, alam natin, so we have two roots. Since our equations is in the second degree equations, that is quadratic. So x sub 1 is equal to 1 half. Then we're using the positive, the square root of 5 over 2. Then the second values of x, that is x sub 2 is equal to 1 half, then negative square root of 5 over 2. So we have two values of x sub 1 and x sub 2. Since our equation is in a second degree equation, so we must two values of x. After solving the equation, so meron tayong two values of x sub 1 and x sub 2. So let's simplify the fraction form. So since this is a similar fractions having the same denominator, so add the numerator 1 plus square root of 5, then copy the denominator, that is 2. So the value of the x sub 1 is equal to 1 plus square root of 5 over 2. Then the result from the equation 1 after solving for y, yung kanina, that is y is equal to x plus 2. Then substitute these numerical values of x sub 1 to this equation, the result of equation number 1. So that is y is equal to x plus 2. So it becomes y sub 1 is equal to x sub 1 plus 2. Then the value of x sub 1 is equal to 1 plus square root of 5 over 2. So substitute this x sub 1, values of x sub 1. Yan, the y sub 1 is equal to 1 plus square root of 5 over 2. Then add 2. Then let us simplify. Then y sub 1 is equal to 2 times 2 is 4. Then 1 plus square root of 5. Copy. Since we have the denominator of 2, that is 1. Then 1 plus square root of 5. Then denominator by denominator. 2 times 1. That is 2. Then get the sum of the numerator. Then 4 plus 1 plus square root of 5. So 4 plus 1, hindi kasali yung square root of 5. So 4 plus 1 is 5. Then add the square root of 5 over 2. So this time, this is a value of y sub 1. And our x sub 1, so 1 plus square root of 5 over 2. Then y sub 1, that is 5 plus square root of 5 over 2. So this is our ordered pair of x sub 1 and y sub 1. For x sub 2, so same procedure as x sub 1. Then since this is a similar fraction, then copy the denominator, then get the difference of the numerator. Since we're using here the subtraction, so 1 minus square root of 5. Then we're using the equations of y sub 2 is equal to x sub 2 plus 2 for the substitutions sa ating x sub 2. So the value of x sub 2, yan, substitute natin. So 1 minus square root of 5 over 2. So then y sub 2 is equal to, then get the product of 2 times 2 is 4. Then copy the numerator plus 1 minus square root of 5. Then our denominator 2. So y sub 2 is equal to 5 minus square root of 5 over 2. So we have the ordered pair here, x sub 2 and y sub 2. So our x sub 2, that is 1 minus square root of 5 over 2. And our y sub 2 is equal to 5 minus square root of 5 over 2. Okay, yan ang ating ordered pair natin. So the x sub 1, or rather x sub 2 and the y sub 2. Therefore, our solution set of the given system of nonlinear equations consists of 2 points. So we have the x sub 1 and y sub 1, then x sub 2, then y sub 2. Okay, for our x sub 1, that is 1 plus square root of 5 over 2. Then y sub 1 is 5 plus square root of 5 over 2. And our x sub 2 is 1 minus square root of 5 over 2. Then y sub 2 is 5 minus square root of 5 over 2. Graphically, or we can sketch the graph in one Cartesian plane, that we can think of the solutions to the system as the point of intersection between the linear functions and the quadratic functions. Okay, yan dalawa nating equations. The graph of our first equation is a line. Our second equation can be represented through parabola. So our first equation, x minus y plus 2 is equal to 0. To graph this one, so let's find the ordered pair. So to solve the x and y y-intercept. Okay, yan ang ating equations of the linear equations. Okay, to find the x and y intercept, so let x is equal to 0 and solve for y. Okay, using the equations of linear equation, x minus y plus 2 is equal to 0, the value of x is 0, then transpose negative y to the other side, so magiging 2 is equal to y. Then we have the ordered pair, so the value of x is 0 and the value of y is 2. So that is for the y-intercept. And for x-intercept, so let y is equal to 0, then solve for x. Then using this equation, x minus y plus 2 is equal to 0. Since the value of y is equal to 0, then x minus 0 plus 2 is equal to 0. Then x plus 2 is equal to 0. Transpose 2 the other side. So we have the ordered pair. The value of x is negative 2 and the value of y is 0. Okay, so in graphically representations, the 2 points or the ordered pair, that is for the x-intercept, the 2 points makes a line. So we have here the 0 and 2 along the positive y-axis, and the negative 2 and 0 is in the negative x-axis. So connect the 2 points that makes a line. The graph of our second equation is in the form of parabola. So we need to find the vertex of the parabola. So let's determine in our standard form of the parabola. So the vertex is given h and k. So the equations of the standard form of the parabola is given the quantity of x minus h squared, then is equal to 4c, a quantity of y minus k. So since the x squared is our h is 0 and our k is 1, so since this is given for the y part is y minus 1, so therefore our vertex is 0 and 1. Since our x variable is raised to 2, the parabola is vertical and it opens upward. So ito yung ang graphical representation ng ating parabola. So our vertex is given h and k, or that is 0 and 1. So along the y-axis. Okay, so let's sketch the two graphs in one Cartesian plane that is showing a point of intersection. So we have the equation 1, so x minus y plus 2 is equal to 0. We know that is linear equation. Yan ang ating graph kanina. Then y minus 1 is equal to x squared. That is also a quadratic equations. It is represented by parabola. Then we have the solution set of the given system of nonlinear equations consists of 2 points. Ito ang 1 plus square root of 5 over 2, that is x sub 1, and y sub 1, that's 5 square root of 5 over 2. And if we divide this numerator by denominator, so i-divide natin by 2, 1.62, yan ang value for the x sub 1. Then 5 plus square root of 5 divide 2, that is 3.62. Okay, translate natin into decimal point para mas madali natin ma-plot into a graph. Then for x sub 2, then 1 minus square root of 5 over 2, equivalently to 0, negative 0.62. And for y sub 2, equivalently to 1.38. Okay, to graph this point of intersection, so let's sketch the two graphs in one Cartesian plane. So we have here the linear equations. Our linear equations is x minus y plus 2 is equal to 0. So, yung ating graph kanina for the linear, and for the quadratic equation represented by parabola, y minus 1 is equal to x squared. We have here the points of intersection after solving the system of non-linear equations. So we have here the x sub 1, 1 plus square root of 5 over 2, equivalently to 1.62. And for the y sub 1, 5 plus square root of 5 over 2, along the y-axis, that is 3.62. Then we have here the broken line to connect the 2 points. Yan ang ating points of intersections for the x sub 1 and y sub 1. And for the x sub 2, 1 minus square root of 5 over 2, that is equivalently to 0, negative 0.62. That is in the negative x-axis. And for the y sub 2 is 1.38 along the positive y-axis. So, connect the 2 points. Yan ang ating points of intersections after sketching the graph in one Cartesian plane. Meron tayong extra activity dito for you to practice on how to solve the system of nonlinear equations. So we have these systems here. The x squared plus y squared is equal to 16, represented by circle, and the other equation is line. Thanks for watching, dudes, and God bless us all.